So some of the more legendary practice routines look like do 1 hour of scales, 1 hour of arpeggios, 1 hour learning tunes, 1 hour transcribing, 1 hour, and the list goes on. Not everyone has a lot of time to spend like a whole full working day practicing. During really busy times in my life when I still tried to practice a lot of those categories just with one exercise or in a small amount of time, I came up with becoming my own loop pedal. What I mean by that is that a lot of people will use a looper to play some rhythm, play some chords down, and then solo over it practicing something. And what I'd suggest is to play a rhythm part by yourself, something simple enough that you can play the chords and a solo over it. It should really help with scales, chords, arpeggios, rhythm, learning solos, improvising. It'll cover a lot of ground. And as usual, like with anything, it's really helpful to do with a metronome. Now I know playing with a metronome kind of wears on some people's patience, but trust me, work through it. And the wonderful thing about a metronome is that even though it's just basically click, 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 and you just hear that, the more musically you play, the more musical it becomes. And it becomes, instead of this annoying click, almost like part of a band. It becomes an invisible band member. Also, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the like button. It really helps me out and I really appreciate it. Also, feel free to reach out for lessons as I'm taking on some new students. So instead of trying a bunch of chords with this approach, maybe start out with just 2, 3. So say I played something like G to C over and over again. It would go... After a while, I could even sing the roots. Kind of sounding like that Crash Test Dummy song, the whatever it is, but you know, just give it a shot. Give singing a little bit a shot. Really listen to the roots. Try to listen to the thirds. Try to listen to the fifths. Try to really feel one chord move to another. At that point, you can start putting in phrasing. So say I play G to C a bunch, I'll get really used to the sound of 1 to 4. At that point, I can go G to D, and then G, C, D, G, D, C. And if I hit it, at least like a few minutes for each progression, I really start to get used to and really get familiar with those progressions. How it helps us with scales and arpeggios is, say I'm becoming more familiar with G major pentatonic. Let me just pick a simple melody, right? Nothing crazy about that. At some point I can learn how to fit it into the progression. This is going to help me a lot with learning that scale and learning certain melodies that I like in that scale. So how it can help us with arpeggios is if I just try to stay aware of where the triads are, so G, B, D, and C, E, G. Had to think about it there. And then I play those instead of playing another lick. I didn't play anything but the triads over each chord. Now I'm getting really used to where those sit on the neck. And here's how it can help with transcription. Say I learned something off an album, something like a little blues lick, like, right? Sounds nice. How can I fit it in here? I can try a few ways and we'll see if it works. Sounds quite nice to me. I can slow it down, I can speed it up, I can put it on different beats, and that's one of the wonderful things about this. You really feel what doing something on the beat 1, beat 2, 3, 4, on the and of any of those beats, how that really feels. So let's try some of those. 1, 2, 3. All right. So it really sits well on the and of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2. Straight on 2 this time. And of 2. So See how it's leading to these other kinds of ideas? It's also, if something feels like it's ending in a wrong way, I can just add a note, subtract a note. Let's try and screw with the rhythm a little bit. All right, I did that one too many times. Right. So now I'm also working on phrasing. I'm working on my understanding of different rhythms and how they might fit in one measure over a chord. What I'm also working on here, without knowing it so much, is finger picking. I can do this whole exercise with a pick, hybrid picking, or just finger picking like I'm doing it now. It obviously will sound the most delicate with finger picking, but let's try it with a pick. So I immediately want to go into kind of a big strummy. Let's see if I hybrid pick though. It's going to change the approach, it's going to change the sound. And I'll have more experience with that the more I play with them. Say we get back to phrasing melodies though. Let's pick 3 notes, just G, A, and B. First I'll play them G, A, B, then I'll play them G, B, A, then I'll play it A, G, B. So you see how just changing the areas of the notes all of a sudden makes this wonderful new melody, and it's also making me aware of how many melodies are in such a simple scale and such a small area of a scale. So when it comes to rhythm, a lot of musicians will rush if we get bored or if we get excited. Playing with a metronome really makes you accountable for the groove. You want to make holding a groove and keeping that groove and staying in that groove as unconscious and as simple as being able to walk and talk at the same time. At no point while you're walking would you go, I don't even know what I'm saying, I forgot how to walk so I can think about talking. No, you can do both. After doing this for a while, you should be able to hold a groove while thinking of a melody that you'd want to also play. Also, you'd be able to play melodies without losing your place in the groove and actually have a good idea of how your melody fits in the groove. 10 minutes or even 2 minutes of this exercise can really help illuminate some problem areas, although that's not the point of it. Obviously, any practice routine is going to help say hey, you need work in this area or both or neither. The point of this exercise is to also help us play the guitar. A lot of exercises, if it's just going through arpeggios and scales, isn't really playing. It's more like just kind of studying the fretboard. That's also helpful, but it's not playing. There's nothing inherently musical about just running up and down a scale or running up and down arpeggios. By making it a musical exercise, we're able to not lose sight of the fact that the end goal here is always to be making music. If you have 15 minutes and you spend the entire thing doing a scale exercise or arpeggio exercise, you'll get better at that for sure. You'll learn more about where that is on the neck, but it's not going to get you better at rhythm playing and at confidently soloing. And of the building blocks of music, rhythm is 1. That is the brick number 1. Because basically, as soon as you play a note and then you play a second note, it's rhythm. And the better you are at keeping rhythm, holding rhythm, making people feel confident and making people feel a groove the way a drummer would make someone feel a groove, the better you're going to be able to play music. So let's do a little bit of this exercise together. Alright, so say I want to do something, ascending idea. Okay. I like that a little bit better. Okay, so I'm coming in on the 4, right? 1, 2, See if I can slow it down. A little awkward, not bad. Triplets are nice. Let's try that one more time. Okay, on B2. Hold on. There we go. So now let's do something going down. Same notes. Same notes, except I'm going to end on the B at the very bottom. Okay. Triplet. I had to skip the C there because I didn't want to end on a C on a G chord. Let's do something a bit more complicated. Let's do some interval jumps using just that area. Octaves. Sevenths. Forgot to tell you. Let's do something more chromatic. Okay. One more. Last time. Right? See how, just trying to be creative with it, trying to make a decision while keeping a groove can kind of keep you in the moment, can kind of keep you musical, and it can be a lot of fun because if you screw up, it's like, meh, you just keep trying. And if you hit something you like, you're like, oh, awesome. And you just keep doing it. It feels very, very good. As you get more comfortable with this exercise, obviously, you can incorporate other areas of the neck. Let's give that a shot. Almost. I like that one. That sucked. It was nice. Last one. It's all right, but I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm having a little bit of, reminding myself where I am on the neck. And I'm having a good idea of what melodies work, what melodies don't. Also, after a certain point, you can start messing with inversions. So let's do that a little bit. That's just adding some needless blues over it. Which is another fun thing, because in that area, in the previous, G major pentatonic, you can play a really normal melody or you can play a very bluesy one. That's another fun part about keeping it in one area, is because you can see kind of what inflections make something bluesy, what make it not bluesy. So let's try a melody bluesy and not bluesy. We'll start with not bluesy. Okay, let's try bluesy. Just adding a little stank on it or something. Just adding a little bit of boom, all of a sudden took it to another area. Let's do it one more time. Nothing bluesy about that necessarily. I know everything is turning into, but the important part here is that you can start to see what inflections really bring out a melody into a certain genre or a certain feeling, and if you want to use them or not. Some people might find the a little annoying or something like that. You might want to do it bending. They might prefer that. They might prefer this. Right? So now we have, and I have all these different ways to phrase the exact same thing. See how just playing it here with you, I was able to come up with a few things, go over certain chords, certain chord inversions, try to keep a nice steady rhythm, try to come up with a bunch of melodies, try to come up with melodies using different intervals. It's really helping me work on my groove, and it's a handful of those categories we mentioned at the beginning of the video. So for those of us strapped for time this week, I hope you're able to give this exercise a shot and get a lot from it, because I know I have. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all next week.